And the supplies you're going to need will be lace and some glue, lots of needles, a pair of scissors, and of course, you're going to need your cut veil, your cathedral veil. And I chose a 72-inch, 108-inch length. So that's going to be a showstopper. So for my lace, I picked a very, very subtle scalloped edge, if you can see that. And I actually am going to pump up the train a little bit. This would be very beautiful all the way around, but the train is the showstopper, right? And how I love to do that is take another lace that's similar, and then I then cut that up to create really a custom design on my trains. And so this train will be the only train out there. And that's what I love to do. I love to give my brides something that is unique to them. There's not another person on the planet that will have this exact veil. And that to me is a treasure, right? You are a unique individual. All right, so let's get started. I'm going to go lay this out on the table so you can see how I do the edge. And then I'm going to show you how to sew it on the sewing machine. And then we're going to trim it like we did the ribbon edge. And then we'll be done, and you'll have this beautiful cathedral veil that'll be a showstopper in any wedding. I'm very excited to get started. Oh, also I wanted to mention, the reason I'm wearing an apron is I am infamous for getting glue all over myself. And fabric glue is infamous for ruining your clothes. So please, if you're using glue like this at this level, please wear an apron or protect your clothes or wear old clothes. So I just wanted to put that out there. I'm at the table, and as you can see, I already got started. And what we're doing here is we're taking the lace and we're just pinning it to the edge. And when you start, make sure you start at the corner that leads to the curve and not across to the gather. I've done that so many times. You don't want to get caught up in the moment and just dive in and then go, oh shoot. And you can see that all I'm doing is taking that lace edge and I'm pinning it to the netting. I want to show you, here's our seam allowance here. And we're going to cut that away just like we did with the ribbon edge. And the reason I do that is lace does have little areas on it like thread and little crevices and whatnot, and twigs and grass and all kinds of things can get caught up in that, even carpet. And so what you want to do is put this over just like that. It creates a very slick base so your veil just slides along on the ground. That's a quick tip. All right, and now what I'm doing is I'm just pinning. On these scallops here, I'm going to be placing a little bit of glue that'll help to hold those down. And I'm just going along and I'm just taking that beautiful lace and edging the end of the veil. That's all I'm doing. Very simple, time consuming, but simple, and you will need a lot of needles. And then when you get to the curve, nothing really changes. Everything's the same. And when you are looking at your laces, keep in mind, you can also do a lace overlay. Those are used on the outside of dresses. You can also use that. They have beautiful edges. You can cut them. It's amazing what you can do. I've made some very custom looks with lace overlay. All right, so I'm going to keep pinning my veil. You keep pinning your veil, and then we'll meet each other on the other end. I'm going to show you how to take the cathedral and put a little cut lace application down at the bottom. All right, so let's keep pinning our lace. All right, so the cathedral train is all right here for us, and I've determined the center of the train is right here because this is where I'm going to build up my scallop. And how you would determine the center is, there's really no way around this. You're going to have to lay a very large veil out on a nice clean surface. So a wood floor, carpeted floor, just fold it in half, get it all lined up, and then determine your center by pinning it or whatever you need to do to mark that center, which I did with some needles here. I did 3 different needle colors. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to build this up using some of the lace that I had left over, and I also purchased other laces so that I can go in and cut them. And I tried to find something similar to what we have here. And one of the laces that I loved that I found had all kinds of lovely flowers, very similar to what we have here. I'm going to show you how I cut into the lace. Here's a piece of trim that I've already cut a little piece of the design off. And what I would like to get out of here is this little piece here. So what you do is you take your trim and you just go around, and you can always have your glue handy to put a little dab on places that might fray. And you're going to go through and you're going to trim off as close as you can to the edge, just like that. And then you can clean up more of it. I'll have little bits and pieces of netting here in a moment laying around, like little confetti. And that's how you clean it up, just like that. All right, so I did that with the lace that's on this edge here. As you can see, I trimmed it all the way off. Everything is off. And now I kind of lay everything out because it's a puzzle, right? So we're gonna get in here and we're gonna create our own design. So it's nice to have everything laid out right here. It's just lovely. And now that you have it all laid out, you can then begin to piece it together. All right, so I have a piece from the actual trim that I'm going to use as the scallop top. And you can see why. I picked this because it kind of goes up anyways. So we're gonna go ahead and put that there. Make sure it's directly in the center. Oh, I like to line it up on a grid, so I know I'm in the center. And I'm gonna go ahead and put the needle in there. As you go, pin away. So the next piece I found was on a different lace, this one, a lace trim that I had. And I'm going to then put these on the sides, creating, I'm looking for a triangular shape scallop. Keeping in mind the center. I think we're getting good balance here. Here's another piece. I'm going to go ahead and trim that up. No lace is safe. Okay. Put that there. All right. And then with this little area right here, we could stick one of these flowers. Let's see. Let's do this flower because it kind of already has that curve to it. So that's why it's nice to put your little puzzle pieces out here. So as you're looking, you're like, oh, I think I need this, or I think I need that. And then let's put in one of these guys. And keep in mind, make sense of where it's at. So if I'm laying this in and there's no flower connected, I'll connect it to that. See how that goes in real nice? So once we've laid it in and we've sewn it all in, it looks like it's a piece of lace that was born that way, because you're making it look like it was born that way. All right, keep going through and keep looking and deciding what looks good, what doesn't. Go ahead and trim up things. And sometimes less is more. You know what Chanel always said? She said, take off the last thing you put on. So we're gonna look at this and edit it as we go. We need another little flower here. So let's hunt down another little flower. There's one. Isn't that great? And you have your little puzzle pieces. All right, so my eye is feeling like we're getting balanced. I'm gonna keep throwing in a few things here and there to kind of see what I think. I like this because it connects that leaf a little bit. And I'm gonna move this guy up a little, move this over. So there's really no right or wrong way to do it. Another flower here. Just put it till it feels right. That did it. Now my eye feels balanced. Isn't that great? So just keep chipping away, keep playing with it. All right, now that I have that scallop, I think pretty nice, I'm gonna go ahead and build this up a little bit so that it looks like it's tapering into it, not just boom, there's a triangle. Some of these that we got from the actual netting will be perfect because they already kind of are scallopy looking. And it's okay to overlay it because we're gonna go ahead and glue and sew. So once we overlay it, it's gonna look like it was born that way. This leaf right here, I'm gonna cut it off because it's not doing me any favors. See, that's balancing that out. Now right here, I feel like we need a little something. So we're gonna go ahead and grab another one of those flowers. And another one over here. And now we're looking like we're tapering up that scallop. Isn't that lovely? I would call that done. So you can certainly go as long as you want. You could add more appliques. I cut these little guys out, and these would be lovely kind of throughout the body. I'm not gonna do it on this veil, but that's how you do little cut appliques. Isn't that nice? You can throw those on there. You can cast them throughout the whole veil if you want. You just look at your lace, look how you can cut the lace and make the lace do what you want. You're the master of the lace. And now that you're recreating the lace, you are actually creating a custom piece no one else will have. That's the most beautiful part. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pin that all in. I wanted to show you something. If you're worried about your board getting any glue on it, go ahead. Once you have those pieces, you can stick something under it. This is just a piece of paper plate that I've cut. And don't push it on there, just kind of lay it in there so it kind of protects your board. And then as you go, you just keep going. And then when that's dry, you can move your little piece around. Whatever you can find, you know, just put it behind it, just to give you that peace of mind that it doesn't ruin your board. All right, we're all pinned in. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually glue in each of these pieces. So take your glue, and with one piece at a time, you're going to go in there and you're going to very carefully put a very small bit of glue. I don't want to move it, but I'm going to move it for you to see what I'm doing here. So what I'm doing is I'm taking this glue and I'm getting a little dollop of the glue like that, and I'm smearing it very lightly. I'm not putting globs of it on there because we're also going to sew it. I'm just getting it so that it's just barely covering the bottom. So many needles. I have found needles in all kinds of things. You got to make sure the needles are gone when you sell your veils. All right. And then I'm going to then put this down because I don't want this to damage my board. I'm going to lay it down on my hand first. Just like that. All right, nice. And that's in there. And because I'm using a really good fast drying fabric glue, it's already dry and that's not going to go anywhere. And if you miss a few spots, just go in there and get a little smear, the labor of love, and your hands will get glue on them. That's okay. All right, let's keep going. Put my hand under, you can see why I pin it. And then you go like that, and it's all set, ready to go. And you just keep going. We'll do this piece and then do all of them. All right, I'm not going to bore you with every little piece being glued on, but now you kind of get the idea. This is how you do it. Yep, just like that. Keep on going. Don't give up. Just keep going. My daughter's piano teacher would say, inch by inch, it's a cinch. Yard by yard, it's far too hard. Well, it's the same with veiling, I'll tell you. Inch by inch is a cinch. All right, so what we're going to do now is I'm going to continue to glue. You go ahead and keep gluing or piecing together your piece, and when you feel you've got the right design, you know, make it permanent with your glue. And then I'm going to show you how I also glue the edge, and then we're going to sew it, trim it, and your veil will be born. All right, I'll see you when this is finished. So here we are. The scallop was born. And you can do lots of different variations. You can do more scallops. It's up to you. You're the creator of the veil. And so now I'm going to go through and I'm going to trim the seam allowance throughout. I'm going to then go and sew, hand sew most of the lace, and then any area that I need a little that I don't hand sew, didn't catch, I'll just dab with some glue and just make sure it's secure. All right, so that's it for now. It's beautiful, looking lovely. And we're just going to go through and finish this up. All right, I'm back at the machine, and now we're going to take this edge and we're going to sew it on. And basically you're just going to sew around, kind of jiggy jag, and then you're going to come back and we're going to sew down this scallop, and then we're going to come and we're going to trim the excess off. All right, so let's get started. The key will be keep the netting straight and the lace straight as well. So go ahead and lock your stitch and then go zoom it about. This netting, this lace has some beads in it, so be mindful of that if you have beads in yours. You'll have to wiggle around. You may have to use more glue and less sewing. It's fine. You can just do the same process we did to build up that scallop, and then you can do that on your edge as well. And again, using that little cardboard underneath while you're gluing is great, and it's something that I use all the time. Because if you have sensitive hands and you're putting it, I was realizing I don't have sensitive hands, and I was showing you how I stick my hand under it, but you can just stick the cardboard under it and do the same thing. All right, so we're going to keep going around. A lot of lifting, a lot of turning. I know there's all kinds of fancy machines out there, but I don't own one. I just kind of do things really old-fashioned way, which is the way I do it. So follow me or come up with a better solution. I would love to hear it. And then just keep going around and around and around. And as you can already see, the lace is already laying flat. And we haven't even done the second part, so this is just turning out perfect already. A lot of up and down, up and down. We've got a bead there, so we'll watch that bead. We'll go around it. Sometimes it's like, how do I go? Which direction? There we go. And then I'm going to show you at the table what we'll be doing on some of these things, like right there, that goes up. We're going to glue that down. All right, so I'm just going to keep going around and round and round. Sometimes it goes fast, sometimes it goes slow. You will use a lot of thread sewing this, so I recommend having a few bobbins handy. All right, we're going to keep going around and around and around. We're going to keep sewing that lovely edge on there, and I will meet you at the scallop, and then we'll show you that aspect, and then we'll move on to the other side, and then we will trim it, and we will have a beautiful veil. Can't wait to get this finished. You know what I'm going to say, right? It's a labor of love. All right, I've reached the scallop, and so basically what I'm going to do here is similar to what we did with the edge. I'm just going to keep sewing around the edge, and we've glued almost all the pieces down. We're going to sew just the edge, and then we're going to go back down when we come back through and do this edge, but just make sure any of the lace that's within it is fully glued down and flat. So let's get going. And I will say that for your first lace edge, I do not recommend a beaded one because it's very time consuming. So get a lace that doesn't have any beads on it, or cut the beads off, or take your time. Up and down, back and forth, up and down, back and forth. There's really no way I systematically tell you exactly how this happens, because you're really going with the lace, you're going with your scallop, keeping everything flat so that the lace and the netting doesn't pucker. Because if you're not careful, you'll do something like this and then it's all puckered, and that doesn't look good. So you want to make sure everything is flat, so you're keeping everything gently down as you're going around. And this is the top of the scallop. And then when we're done with this scallop, we're going to go around back underneath, because if you remember, the trim is under here as well. So we're going to go back and secure that as well. I like to anchor it when I turn it. You're the master of the netting, you're the master of the lace, and the master of the sewing machine. We're almost at the end. Coming around, keeping it flat, 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 flat. And if a pucker occurs, stop, cut your stitch, start over. Simple as that. Around. Almost done with the scallop. We're at the end of that scallop. What we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and pull this, cut it, and now we're going to go back, and I left the needles in so I know where I'm at. So we stopped here when we were doing the trim. And what we're going to do is we stopped right there. So we're going to go back in. We're going to sew this trim on, just like we were doing before. So just like before, you're going to go down and you're going to keep going to attach that trim. I need my walking foot, but sometimes it gets caught in the lace, so be careful of that. It's hard to know where my lace is, the one I made, and the lace edge that we bought. That way there's no gaping holes. Everything looks like it's one piece when we're done. Oh, look, here's our center. to our center of the scallop. That means we're halfway through. Yay! Halfway through. I feel like we should celebrate. All right, so now that we are through with that scallop, I will meet you on the other end of this veil, and then we're gonna go back over here. It's a lot to do still, so hang in there, don't give up. I'll see you at the other end. All right, so we're at the end, and I'm gonna show you how you're gonna sew the other part. This will be the easy part. You're just gonna go and you're gonna sew that edge down. Again, keeping things flat. This is gonna give that nice flatness to your netting and to your lace. On some of this, I didn't have enough of a salvage, so just make sure you pull that netting out a little bit. What you don't want is a little pocket. All right, so you're just gonna keep on going down, taking your time and everything flat. All right, I'll meet you at the other end while we're continuing this on. As you can see, it's nice and easy. We did the hard part first. And I'm holding it, so funny, I don't even know I'm doing it, but I'm holding it in the same way I do my ribbon. It's in an S shape. You see that? I do that in an S shape. So holding the lace and the netting, keeping this flat as I run down. All right, we'll meet you at the other end. All right, we're at the end of the veil. We certainly should celebrate. It takes a while, but doing it right will make the product so beautiful. One more step, or a couple more steps after this. Just finish it off, pull it off. And now we're gonna go to the table, take all these pins off, but we're gonna go ahead and trim that seam allowance right there. We'll trim all that off, and our little lace edge will lay nice and flat. Okay, I'll see you at the table. All right, so we're at the table, and because I'm right-handed, I'm gonna start at the left edge of my veil because it's easier for me to cut this way. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna go along and we're gonna cut the selvage. Super easy process. You just kind of go down, similar to how you did with the ribbon. And let's get edgy with ribbon. I showed you how I cut the seam allowance off. And honestly, what this does is it just creates a nice base underneath your netting. You see that? And it just makes it nice and smooth. It's going to take a little bit of time, but we've got that. And as you're going along, this is a good time if you wanted to secure some of these edges as well. It's up to you. Trim and then come back and do that. But I'm going to show you how to do both right now, and then I will meet you at the other end. When you see these little areas that we missed or couldn't catch, all you're going to do is glue the little areas, put it on that little piece of paper, a piece of cardstock, and you can just secure it. Any little area that didn't get caught. And like I said, you could go through, cut your selvage, and then come back and do this. There's really no quick path. All right, so I'm gonna keep trimming and I'm gonna keep gluing, and then we are gonna meet each other at the other end with a finished veil. All right, happy trimming. All right, so now you've got your veil all trimmed. All of the seam allowance that you got on there, we've trimmed that back. And now we're gonna work on securing the rest of the lace. So anything that is loose that didn't get secured from sewing, you can go back through and you can put little dabs of glue on there. And I also like to do some hand sewing here and there because this is a heirloom quality piece. That means we want this to last for a lifetime, you know, so it can be passed down from generation to generation. That's kind of the history with veils anyways. It's so cool, right? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take, I have a couple different kinds of needles. I like to use an upholstery needle. This is a curved upholstery needle. And then I like to use a size 10 for, I use this for beading, but I also like to use it. It's nice and short for my sewing as well. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go through and we're gonna just secure each of the little pieces that, you know, just are loose. So I like to go under the place that's up right there. And then what I'm gonna do is come in and trim that little tail off because we're gonna tuck it in. Make sure you're trimming the tail and not the actual thread, okay? And then you're gonna just go through very systematically and just kind of sew. And you're just gonna go around, you know, the area. See that one's up? You're gonna go under and then you're gonna go up. And a thimble is kind of nice, or a tool. Let me grab my tool real quick. I also have sewing gloves. Those are nice too. So we're just gonna go through, and it's a labor of love, like I've mentioned probably 10 times in this video. It's just something that's so special, right? What you're doing is you're taking this piece and you're just giving it all the love you can. And then you'll just keep going down all those loose spots. And typically I would not do this at my table. I usually work in my lap with this kind of stuff, wearing a pair of dark jeans because it's just easier to see. And then I will then just continue through. Each and every one of these will get a little love. And as I mentioned, you can use a little bit of glue too. This will last much longer over time. It's just extra measures, extra security. The glue kind of gets it stabilized, and then the sewing of it will make it secure for a lifetime. And we're going to go through and do this throughout the whole piece. So you work on that, and together we're going to come back and I will show you the finished piece, and then we'll be done with the tutorial. So beautiful. I'm going to lay this down. I'm also going to put it on my mannequin and just show you what it looks like laid out. All right, see that right there? Just keep sewing until all these pieces, and like I said, this one right here, you could put a little glue on that, you know, the little things you miss. It'll take you a few hours, it'll be good, but in the end, this veil is going to be timeless. Beautiful. See you in a minute. All right, here's the beautiful cathedral laid out. This is a very simple variation of what we could do with cut lace because we only did one scallop. You have the creativity to do whatever you want. You can do more scallops. You can use your imagination with cut lace. Have fun with it. Think, what can I do if I cut this lace up? You're the master of the lace. Don't you forget that. Just because it was born that way doesn't mean it has to stay that way. All right, so I'm going to meet you back at the table and we'll finish this tutorial, and that'll be it for today. All right, that's it, veil makers, you did it. You made a cathedral veil, and that is trimmed in lace, and you did a cut lace application on the train. That's advanced level veil making. So you should give yourself a pat on the back for that. All right, so if you would like to take this veil and gather it, we have a tutorial called Let's Gather Together, where you will learn to gather your veil. And then you can head over to Put a Comb on It, where you will learn to take that gathered veil and put it on a comb so you have one complete look. And that is such a great accomplishment, to have one veil. And then you can make lots more after that. And moving forward, I have some tutorials planned where I'm going to show you how to put crystals on your veil so everything is sparkly and pretty. And then moving forward, I'm so excited. I'm going to be creating a playlist, and in that we'll have different hats that you can do for bridal, for anything, honestly. And I am creating a pattern for you for each of those tutorials so that you can download it and you can actually make the hat along with me. And these hats will be timeless. These will be things you can hand down to your children. They're going to be beautiful. I'm so thankful that you hung in there and you did your cathedral veil. Please send me photos. I can't wait to see what you come up with. All right, that's it. I'm Dorene Vandermeer, and this is Bridal Veil Secrets Unveiled. Please subscribe to my channel, and I look forward to seeing you again, veil makers.